Hey, what's up, everybody? Bdf 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so, man, so it's been an interesting ordeal. Yesterday I came home, and of course I didn't get a chance to get my colonoscopy done because of the process that I was telling you about. I encourage you to check out the video prior to this one, where I explained what happened there, and now we move on. I'm just getting ready to go do my Hollywood run, get some things from Hollywood that I need. It's funny because I bought some Mexican food yesterday. It was the first meal I decided to have since cleansing the body, and I didn't have any gas issues at all. My body, I don't know what's the science behind that. Like, normally I would have gas issues. That's like consistent no matter what. But my stomach was immediately settled. Didn't have any issues. Immediately settled in a way that it hasn't been in years, like literally years. So I don't know if I'm to think that whatever was causing the problem was cleansed, or if that's just a byproduct of having nothing been in your stomach and then putting something in it. I really don't know. We'll only know as the days progress and I continue to eat as I normally did. But yeah, that was strange. That was strange, honestly, to have a normal stomach and not have my stomach bubbling or creating any types of problems for me in any way. That's just not anything I've been experiencing. And so for that to be the case, it was just weird, especially eating something like that. Something that I know has caused problems in the past. I just didn't care. Yesterday I was so hungry and I was so dizzy that I just didn't care to do anything but get food fast. And of course this place is next door, so I know it doesn't take any time for them to cook. What are we doing? Go ahead. Fucking idiot. Anyway, sorry about that language. It was my walk to go, and she put herself out there and it kind of looked at me, and I told her to go and she didn't even like acknowledge me. It's like drugs probably going on there. But anyway, she threw off my train of thought. But yeah, it was one of those situations where my stomach was cool, and I decided to get that food that was close by. I didn't want to wait to cook something. I didn't particularly have the patience to cook, or the desire to wait for the food to cook, or any of that. I was too tired to want to do any type of dishes or anything like that. I just like, man, the closest thing I can get was my Mexican food. And I'm like, it's been a 40-hour struggle of not eating a single meal, and I'm gonna put in my body what I want, not necessarily what I feel would do well with it or anything like that. I want something that I haven't had in a long time that tastes really, really good. Man, I don't give a damn. That was my attitude, and it went well. I had no issues, 0 issues. Strange. Hopefully that means that this will be the norm from here. Hopefully that means that whatever cleansing process cleansed out whatever was in there. Maybe this was a parasitic process, a problem that I had, and that the cleansing cleansed out the parasite. That's what I'm thinking might have been the case, to be honest with you. That might have been the case. Of course, there are multiple issues at the same time. I got food allergies and stuff like that as well, so I would still need to know what's going on with the rest of those issues, and would like to know if my colon is cool. But I don't really know what the science is behind that, but it's definitely some data to take back to the doctor when I speak with her, and maybe something to do again. Once I start having gas issues, it may be incumbent upon me to go through the process of cleansing my body and fasting for an extended period of time. It wasn't pleasant at all, but based on how my body feels after doing it, when eating something I know damn well gives me trouble, it may be something I might want to work into my into a yearly routine. Do that once a year or something like that, or maybe even once every 6 months. So that's really what it was for me. I was able to bull through that, though. The 40-hour fast was not nearly as difficult as I anticipated it being. It was very difficult, but I thought it was going to be worse. I thought I was going to be lightheaded. I thought I wasn't going to be able to, kind of do exercise and stuff like that, and that just wasn't the case. I was able to push through it, and so it was really a positive experience for myself. And so, especially once I finally got that meal in my system, and it tastes amazing, and that was it. That's the story. I went to sleep after that, and allowed my body to replenish energy, and then got up and did my normal nighttime routine workout and stuff, showered, and that was it. My charger had broke last night, yesterday morning actually, before I went to the to get the cleansing done. I mean the colonoscopy. I had plugged my charger up right behind my bed, and I was stupid enough to have pushed my bed onto the charger, forgetting it was back there, and it dented it just so right to where it wouldn't charge anymore. So I purchased some more on Amazon. The package was just delivered. I didn't pick it up, but I'll get it when I get back. I had a spare charger that I didn't even know I had. I know I had my the charge bank, which was doing the job overnight. But I woke up this morning and found another charger that I had, another cord that I had. So that was really cool, but that'll be my spare of the spare, because I bought 2 cords just now from Amazon. So yeah, man, ain't gonna be without a charger, that's for sure. But that was just a stupid decision on my part. So yeah, man, I'm just moving forward. Now curious to see how my body's gonna react to normal meals, if I'm gonna get back to eating my rice and stuff like that tonight, and see if I start having any gas issues. Because if this was some type of parasite that's been cleansed out, that would be a massive blessing for me to have done that, to have been able to get that done in this fashion. And that medical colon cleansing solution, ain't nothing like it, man. I've used stuff that's supposed to cleanse your system before. It's been a long time too. It's been probably over 15 years since I bought something that was meant to do that. A lot of times it would go into your stomach and bubble up and feel like you drank like some very heavy soda. But this did not have that type of solution to it. It wasn't that type of feeling. It goes into your gut. It switches around a little bit for a couple hours, and then it's like you're doing number 1 out of your number 2. It's a different level of diarrhea. And it ain't even diarrhea. You are literally peeing out of your backside. And so, you go through drinking this thing is like, it's almost a liter of that. They give you 2 bottles, and they tell you to drink 1 at a certain hour. For me, it was 2 o'clock. I thought it was 1, which really worked out, because I wasn't able to get into my room until 1:45, and it turned out I wasn't supposed to start my cleansing process till 2 o'clock. So it really worked out. I thought I was late, and actually I was early when I started sipping that stuff. So that was a perfect process. But throughout the course of however long it takes, they tell you to drink 8 ounces until you finish the bottle, which should take you about an hour. Every 15 minutes, literally every 15 minutes, you take 8 ounces, put it back in the fridge. 8 ounces, 15 minutes later, put it back in the fridge. So I did that process at 2 o'clock, and then they tell you to do it again at 7 o'clock. So it was one of those situations where by 4 o'clock, the first part of the solution had come and gone. So it was one of those situations where once you take the second solution, in theory, your stomach should already be empty. Like, I think my stomach was already cleansed with the first batch of the solution. And by the way, this is my experience. they say drink up into a point of the bottle, where it's like, they draw a line and say this is how much water you put into the solution, and they also give you a packet of flavor enhancer. I didn't realize that they were saying put it up to a certain line until well after I put the water in the bottle. That was a good thing because what it did was it diluted it enough for the taste not to be as bad. It provided more flushing to come out, and I just think that when it really came down to it, that was probably a really good thing for me, because I can tell you that taste was just fine because of exactly how much water I put in it. So rather than pour water up to the line, I poured it up to the absolute brink, shook it up really good, and put it in the fridge for about, they say an hour. I didn't have an hour, so I put about 25 minutes and let it get cold enough, and then went through that process. So you tack on, in theory, by doing that, an extra 15 minutes as well of drinking. It's a little extra, than probably a little more than 8 ounces from where the line is. So I did that with both of the bottles, and I just feel like that was probably better for me. It didn't dilute the solution whatsoever, and it made it taste better for certain. And like I said, I think it provided more liquid to flush. So that's just something I throw out there for those who are probably going to experience that. And so that's really what it was, man. I went through that process. The first one I felt did the job. The second one was like overkill. But that second one was, I was able to like go overnight a little bit. You know what I mean? It was like I woke up in the morning and continued that process of cleansing that out of my system. And that may have been why I was doing so well, because I was letting it sit and seep overnight. That solution probably killed whatever parasites may have been in my stomach. Just a theory. But like, it got to a point where I knew it had worked, because it was no longer changing the color of what was coming out. It was the same. What was going in was what was coming out, is essentially what I'm saying to you. Like, that cleansed me out so well that it wasn't even an issue at all. It was literally zero anything in my belly. And I'm pretty certain, I'm 1,000% certain that my body has never been cleansed to that degree. I'm positive of that. So, yeah, that's something I would recommend probably all human beings, especially people in America. We really do have to cleanse our colon to that degree for the way that we eat throughout the course of our lives. And the gut issues that I've had, I know it comes from having not cleansed myself at all. Despite changing my diet over the last 8-7 years or whatever, I stopped eating the way I used to eat. If you don't cleanse your colon out, it's still going to be some things that could have been left over from the poor ways that you used to eat. If we eat without even thinking about it, we'll try this, try that, try this, try that, have good this, have bad that. I've had food poisoning a couple of times since my last cleanse, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those situations where who knows what's in your gut? Like, you don't actually know. But what you can be certain of is, if you cleanse yourself to the degree that I was forced to do this colonoscopy, whatever it is, it's coming out. That's for damn sure. And so I've been listening to people, I've been paying attention to the ads for Rise, which is something that is supposed to cleanse your gut and promote gut health. I was hesitant to do it for the same reason that I've been struggling. It's like anything I put in my stomach causes problems, but it's like, now I come to understand, like, you got to clean it out entirely. For all the red meat that we eat, for all the different, like, if you eat sushi or stuff, anything that come out of the ocean, who knows what type of parasites in the ocean that they keep on, bringing forth all types of pollution into. No telling what's in your system if you eat anything out of the ocean. You know, honestly. And so it's common sense, really. We have to clean our gut, and we got to work it into the culture that we have. We don't really have that as a culture. I did that because I had to. I did that because things had gotten so bad that I needed someone to look inside of me to figure out if everything was okay. That's what forced me to clean my colon to that degree. And so I just tell people, like, it is something that I think we'll see if it helped me in the long run. If what I have is not something else. If I continue to have issues going forward with gas and stuff like that, then what I'm saying didn't necessarily work. But what I'm certain of is, after cleansing myself the way that I did, I ate something that I know my body doesn't like, and it was just fine. Just fine. None of the issues that I had been experiencing for the last several years happened with that meal. And so that was something that I think is eye-opening. Very eye-opening. But yeah, man, hope I didn't gross anybody out. I tried to keep the worst words of it out of here, but and at the same time let y'all know what the experience was. And I was a little frustrated that I wasn't able to have my colonoscopy taking place. But at the same time, I was also very pleased that I didn't experience what that was, too. I don't exactly want to go through that at all. But if you're going to prepare for it and draw blood for it, you might as well go all the way through with it, obviously. But if the preparation was all I needed to fix my problem, then God knows best, you know what I mean? We'll know soon. As throughout the course of this week, if I have any gas issues, I'll know what's up. But as far as I can tell, this is about as good as I've felt physically with my stomach in about 5 years. Pretty much about 5 years, y'all. So this is weird. It's a weird thing, but I'm thankful for it. And we'll see what's next, you know. But yeah, man, that's really what it is. And then this morning I woke up and my toilet was stopped up. So I told Mans to give me a plunger, and the plunger didn't necessarily get the job done. So I told him we would need to call a plumber, and I'm really hopeful that they're able to get that plumber in there today, because that toilet is not going to be able to be used right now. And that's pretty much the end of the story. I'm glad it didn't stop up when I was going through all of that other stuff. That's what I will say. I'm very glad it wasn't stopped up then. But it is not doing well right now, so I told him, hey man, you gotta get a plumber in there, man. That's just what it is. And so it's early enough in the day. It's only probably about 1:30, so I'm hopeful they can get somebody in there today. If not, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because that toilet is not usable right now. It just ain't. So there's that. Deal with that. But yeah, man, as far as myself, I'm feeling okay, you know. I was a little frustrated yesterday, just, you know, kind of upset because I wasn't able to see the effort that I put in manifesting into what it is that I was mentally preparing myself for. You know, that was really what it is. That's always a trigger for me. But you know, I gotta shake that off and say what I just said to you guys. If the cleanser was what fixed the problem, then then there was never any need to go through with that. So that colonoscopy. And another thing about that situation I think is rather interesting is just, as I told you guys, I really don't want to be put under for anything if I can help it. Not necessarily because I have issues with trust or whatever. That's not a big part of it. The part of it that I'm not looking forward to is seeing how my body reacts to that type of medication being put in my body, and see how my mind reacts to having something that's going to take away my memory potentially. I've already had a lot of cognitive issues smoking weed, with memory, short-term memory issues and stuff like that. I really don't want anything messing with my with that part of my brain functioning if I can help it. I've had some head injuries, you know what I mean, a couple of concussions, And with my excess weed smoke and irresponsible weed smoke over the course of many years, I've really had a lot of cognitive memory issues. So once she said that the medication leaves people without the ability to remember leaving that place after the procedure and not knowing how they got home, that was a red flag for me personally, because I already suffer from, in the past, from memory issues that have not reared their ugly head recently. I still have issues remembering people's names and stuff like that, but I don't think it's anything abnormal. But some of the issues I used to have with short-term memory loss and stuff like that, I really don't want to take anything that's going to have that part of my brain be disrupted in any way. And so once she said that, that was a red flag for me to say, nah, I probably should not let them do that. Not if there's a way around it. So I think that was also something that kind of worked out in my favor, to where, because I wasn't able to get the transportation that they required, they weren't able to put that medicine in my body. And so yeah, that's I think a lot of things worked out the way they were supposed to. I do think that the colonoscopy should be something that gets done. I understand that people should have regular colonoscopies once you hit 45. I'll be 42 in August, so I know that's going to be coming up soon. But as far as me having them regularly, if not for the trouble that I've had with my gut, it would not be necessary yet. According to what their science is. I still think they should probably, with how often people are getting cancer, colon cancer and stuff like that, I think that should probably be lowered probably to 40. But the way they have it is 45, so yeah, that was a thing for me to just say, you know what? God knows best, man. If he wanted this to be done, it would have got done. I prayed about it in regards to, should I sign that waiver? And, I didn't get the vibes that was something that should be done. Prayerfully, I didn't think that God was telling me yes. He was saying, no, you don't have to do this today. The clinic, as I told you guys in that video that I made afterward, they were a little sketchy, man. They were a little sketchy. They were just a little sketchy. And if you get the inclination that people are sketchy in any way, there are many things you should do before allowing them the right to have access to your unconscious body without any legal ramifications towards their mishaps. You see what I'm saying? I probably would have trusted them to do the procedure just outright. I'm not sitting here saying that I was so concerned that they were so sketchy that they weren't going to be able to do the procedure properly. I didn't think that. But if you get any inclination that someone's sketchy even a little bit, the last thing you want to do is waive your rights to sue them. Even if you don't get the inclination that anyone's sketchy, even if you get the greatest vibes from people, you still don't want to waive your rights to sue them, right? And that's exactly what that waiver was doing. And the lady handled it to me nonchalantly. And I was so thankful that the nurse showed a great deal of humanity. It was an African nurse. And she was a real human being, man. She was like, look, you don't want this in your file, and you don't really want to sign it. And she told me, she was like, you don't want this in your file, which I thought was interesting. But it's one of those situations where in your medical file, if you've waived your rights to sue, or if you've shown that you don't have anyone to accompany you based on whatever her knowledge is, one of those two things or both of those two things don't look good in your medical file. I don't know the science behind that. I don't know the logic behind that. I just trusted what she said was true. That's really what it came down to. I don't see how either one of those things could really hurt me per se, medically. in my medical history, but at the same time, if she say that it shouldn't be done, I'm going to lean on her wisdom in that regard. So she's probably the reason why I ultimately decided not to sign the waiver, to be honest with you. If that lady would have handed me the waiver in the way that she did, prior to me, had I not spoken to the nurse, I'm pretty damn sure that I would have been more likely to sign that waiver. But she put it in my mind that it shouldn't be done. So I thank her for that. No, I really thank her for that. So as I said, like, the nurse I trusted. She wasn't the one that's going to be doing the colonoscopy, though. They had doctors back there ready to do the colonoscopy. And so it was one of those situations where, who knows who them doctors were. I never actually saw the doctors. But I can tell you that there was some sketchy vibes overall from that place. The nurse was great, but I was cool, man. I was cool with not having done that there. So take that for whatever it's worth, man. There was a spot in Inglewood, 8110 something, I don't know the street name. But yeah, I will be open-minded to having a colonoscopy, but I'm not really all that open-minded to going through that cleansing process anytime soon. But now that I've seen the good that's come from that cleansing process, I'm a little more up for it than what I was when I last spoke about it. I will say that. You know, it was one of them situations where I didn't realize the meal was going to take so well. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it came down to. It took a couple hours for me to be able to get that understanding. I just assumed I was going to have the same issues I always do. And they didn't arrive. So that was awesome. But yeah, man, that's what's up with me, man. I just living out this process. This has been a journey. Just medically, you know, going through some things I never gone through. I have some knowledge now. I've gone through something once. I kind of get a drift of what it is that you can expect going forward. So I won't be so confused anymore when it's time to go to a place called Quest. I know that's lab work. Be ready for that. You know, I know that, you know, what to expect if you have to have a colonoscopy and what the process feels like when you have to go through it. 40 hours, no food, basically. You know what I mean? And the cleansing process. I went through it now. So when it's time to do it again, I'll know what to prepare for. I'll know now that I have to have somebody accompany me to any type of medical procedures, that I will not be able to just take an Uber there. And it depends on the facility, because in the paperwork, which is another thing that kind of frustrated me, it did say that they would allow you to use transportation by way of your insurance. Because it distinctively said, and this is the thing, I don't want people to think that I was overly surprised by the question of where was my accompanied person, because it did say in the paperwork that you have to have somebody accompany you. But it said in parentheses after that statement that you could use your insurance provided transportation. And so I think I may have even said this in one of my therapy sessions a couple of weeks ago. And I probably said it in regards to talking to my boy T, because that's what I was able to tell him. Like, look, stay on standby for that exact reason, because they may need me to have somebody accompany me just in case they decide to renege on that. And so my question is, are they not liable in any way for giving me that information and costing me the ability to do my colonoscopy because of what it is that they said would be allowed, for which was not ultimately allowed? That was in paperwork. That was in writing. It said you could use your insurance provided transportation. I used my insurance provided transportation, and they didn't allow me to do my procedure without signing a waiver. So my thing is, yeah, that's not right. That's not right, and I've been thinking about that. Something's wrong with that. That shouldn't say that. Because it definitely says you can't use Uber or Lyft. But it says in parentheses you can use your insurance provided transportation, which is Uber and Lyft. You know what I'm saying? They pay for the Uber and Lyft. They connect with Uber and Lyft. They use them. They are the liaison between you and those companies. And so it's one of those situations where it's like, that really cost me my ability to get this done. And if I have something wrong with me that I'm not able to find out in time because this process went as it did, are they not liable for that? And so this is just, these are little things, but they're big things. And in a sense that, yeah, if you have some type of cancer or something and you need to have a colonoscopy fast to catch it, this delayed that process significantly because of their shenanigans. Take it for whatever it's worth. Something to think about. Hopefully I help somebody with this information, though. Don't come there without your person. I think probably 98% of people are not going to be in my situation, though, to be honest with you. You're going to have a friend or a family member or a significant other that's going to take you there and be able to do this. You know what I mean? I'm just a unique person in the sense that I don't have anybody that can do that other than my boy T, of whom, because of the circumstances that they created by putting that statement in there, I wasn't able to tell him in time to be prepared. I'm certain we could have worked it out. He could have cleared up his schedule, but I had to tell him last minute. Of course, I don't expect him to be able to do it last minute. You know what I mean? So it's like, they really, if there's something wrong, I feel like there's something that they should be having to deal with it because of that. That's how I feel. For putting that crap in that paperwork when it wasn't accurate. So, man, this is just what it is, man. I'm not surprised, though. I've told y'all many times, when it comes to medical insurance and different things like that, I've seen the worst happen. I experienced the absolute worst of that with my mother. And I told y'all that story many times already. Essentially, the short of it was, she was almost done with her chemo, and they hit her up with one chemo session left, saying that they had to halt her insurance for reasons that weren't clear to me. I don't think they were clear to her either. And as a result, the stage 4 cancer that she had continued to spread throughout the course of time. They were trying to get her insurance situation straightened out, and she ultimately got to a point where she was terminal in that process. With only one scheduled chemo left, to the point where they said that they had sand in the area where cancer was once found. It had been dwindled down through the chemo to just being sand as it appeared in the x-ray. It was that close to her being able to ring the bell on her cancer. One session. And that's all it would have been needed to remove the cancer entirely. And they cut off her insurance right before she was able to have that session. And they cut it off for about 4 months, just long enough for that thing to spread from sand into rapid decay of multiple organs. And she passed away. I feel like my mother got handed a wrong deal there, to say the least. I think it's safe to say something wrong took place there. Something real wrong took place there. I never investigated it myself, but when I look at the timing of such things and the process of how that went, it seemed rather cruel, don't you think? That you would be able to have your insurance work it out all the way down to the last chemo session, and then all of a sudden they tell you your insurance is void for reasons that don't have anything to do with anything that you did anything wrong in regards to. Seems like, as her son, I could look at that and say, man, what? Something went wrong there that didn't seem too damn natural, don't you think? She didn't give me the details. I was at her apartment when that phone call was taking place. I was right there when they were telling her her insurance was going to be void. I was right there watching her look at it. I saw her face when they told her that. Something I won't soon forget. And so I just want people to know, like, if you've ever been through anything in regards to medical insurance that ever went weird or ever went wrong, I can relate to that a lot with my mother. That situation, the worst story I ever heard, that was the worst version of it I ever heard, to be honest with you. So, you know, that's what comes to mind. That obviously never sat right with me, obviously. So, I choose my language carefully, but it was a lot there to be concerned with and to investigate, in my opinion. But yeah, man, that's what it is. That was 10 years ago. My mother's since passed on, you know what I mean? 11 years ago, actually, when you consider the actual timeline of that. But, you know, she's out of her misery with that, for which caused her a great deal of it. And, you know, that's what it's about, I guess. Not suffering anymore, right? I don't know, man. It's hard to wrap your mind around these things even 10 years later, man. But, yeah, man, so that's what I want to say, man. Encourage everybody to just do the best you can. You know, that's the best thing I can say. I don't really know. I honestly don't know. What I can say is the same thing I said to people yesterday. If you live in a country that has free health care, don't leave. Don't come looking to this place for greener pastures. I will say that. Stay right where you're at. If you're going to be with free health care and full paid health care, and your country values human beings, stay there, man. Stay your ass right where you at. Don't leave. Don't think that this place is better for you. It's not in that regard. Not in many regards, the more we learn, right? But yeah, man, that's what I gotta say about that, man. I ain't really pay too much attention to what's going on in social issues right now. I don't really care too much about some of the stuff that people are talking about right now. Honestly, this situation with Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion, I think that's slop, if I'm being honest. That's slop, bro. That's not real. If anything, that's a relationship that was likely put together for the sake of this exact purpose, to further drive the notion that people of color should not trust one another in regards to having relationships, for the bigger overall purpose of keeping us from having healthy families, healthy relationships, and ultimately outliving the powers that be, who happen to be a fair skin. They don't want you to have more kids than them. Man, that's the truth of the matter. They know when they have a figure like Megan Thee Stallion, they propped her up so that she could move in the direction of influencing people that are of color. They know that there will be people who are not, who appreciate a great deal of her music and her image, but who they trying to influence and who they trying to send messages to are people of color. When they send anybody on your screen that looks like they don't care about their image, or that they're willing to display themselves in ways that were once considered disrespectful to oneself, it's because they want you to follow them. And so when you see things in the course of their lives take place, there's a good chance that those things are in place to suggest to you that you should behave or think the way they do. That's the truth. And so when I see this Megan Thee Stallion thing take place, and I'm looking at how people are behaving around the subject, and how people from within my community are fighting with one another, men and women fighting with one another over the subject of her and Klay Thompson, I just say, well, this is exactly what they wanted us to do. They want us to not trust one another, not get together, and definitely not have no more damn kids. And if you don't see that, you're not alone, because a good portion of our country doesn't see that either. But this is called being propagandized. They suggest to you in many different places certain thoughts that will send you away from trusting one another, from ultimately co-inhabiting healthy households with one another, from having clear minds, period. And all these things supposed to come together to keep you from coming together and ultimately having more numbers within your race than theirs. I'm telling you, the more I learn about these people, the more I understand what I'm looking at. I know exactly what I'm looking at. Klay Thompson, from what I understand, it was said that he said that relationship wasn't even real. And what I know from someone that I'm close to, who used to work in marketing, famous people stuff, that person told me firsthand that they sit in these think tanks and put people together and scheme up their entire processes, the beginning and the end of their relationship, how many children they're going to have, when those children are going to be born. A lot of these famous people that are propped up in our faces, they're in our faces for very specific reasons, man. Very specific reasons. Especially those who represent people of color. They're in your faces to push an agenda, and that agenda is likely to control and reduce your numbers. And it's going to be a long time before that's common knowledge. It's going to be a long time before people start looking at what they are seeing and think that. But that's what I'm telling you is there to see. And they always want us not to trust one another. They always want us to ignore them while they're doing whatever they're doing to you and to one another, themselves. And so when I look up and I learn about little cities in New Jersey and little cities in New England where there ain't nothing but Jewish people cohabiting with one another, having multiple leaders, so to speak, of children, and living off of public finances and government finances, I understand that the agenda is clear. It's clear. And they're gonna sit in little spots and places which you're not looking in, and they're gonna be making so many babies, having so many children, while they push an agenda upon your people to make it so that you stumble into not having healthy households, not having good relationships, not having many children. You're gonna learn. Y'all gonna learn what I'm saying is true. This country is controlled by Israel, who ultimately identifies as Jews. And this is what they're doing. They're trying to have a lot of children so that they can one day be the majority in this world. That's the plan. And they're gonna do it on your hard work and dime. Those Jewish people in those colonies, they do not work. They do not work at all. They live free off of money that you pay taxes into, and their job is to have as many children as possible and stay within those communities. Have as many children as possible. I kid you not, that's the job. These are things that we're not supposed to know that are starting to be revealed to us. And I've told y'all many times, when it comes to this genocide in Gaza specifically, it's a hub for all of the hidden truths. You look at that, and it's going to expose to you a million different things that are hidden from you. And I've been saying this since the beginning of this genocide. The answer to a lot of the world's problems is wrapped up in that genocide. And if you look over there, it'll give you context to different things. It'll give you the questions to ask to different things that you would never even wonder about. It'll open up the door for so many different rabbit holes to go down that'll make a lot of things that have never made any sense start to come together. And this is one of them. lot of our cultures have been dreamt up by these same people, man. A lot of these cultures that we have to do this and do that and engage in these behaviors and think this way and align this way and view this way, that was dreamt up, man. This stuff is not organic. This is not organic. We did not stumble across this on our own. We were suggested a lot of this stuff. A lot of these behaviors, a lot of these actions that we engage in, I think are our cultures, were dreamt up by individuals who are not within our communities for intentions upon our cultures, for intentions upon our peoples. This is the truth, man. And like I said, many individual right now alive is not going to understand this or see this in their lifetime. It's going to be our grandkids and our great-grandkids who are going to understand this about our cultures and ourselves. I don't think a good portion of people are going to even know this in their lifetime. And a lot of this stuff is just suggested to you, man. A lot of this stuff was suggested to different pockets with the intention of spreading out to you with the lies and the guise of this being something that was created by someone that looks like you. It wasn't created by somebody that looked like you. It was created by somebody over there in those colonies that we're talking about. They wanted this for you while they want the best for themselves. And they want you to work hard while they just pollinate in secrecy off your dime. It sounds wild, but it makes sense when you consider the fact that if every indigenous person and every colored person comes together, suddenly we outnumber the non-melanated folks by a lot. And if you understand that, then you understand where the paranoia and the ambition to engage in this behavior comes from. And you got to look at it like this too. If you have control over everything and you're losing numbers, eventually you see yourself losing control and losing power. That's common sense. If I got control over so much, but I got fewer people, then in order to hold on to that power, I need more people. And most importantly, I need those who outnumber me to have less people. So if I can get you to kill yourself a million different ways, that will help me over time to do that. Now, as we've come to understand, these people have rigged the game in so many different ways financially. To the last thing they want to do is lose numbers. When they win in the game, they didn't cheat their way this far, but they losing people. But they down in numbers. Oh hell no! It's like being in heaven and finding out you got to go back to Earth. Like, I'm not going back to Earth, dog. No, I got to find a way to stay here, no matter what. That's kind of what it is for those powers that be. They don't want to go back to Earth. They don't want to go back to the struggle. They did everything they were set to do to garner this much power. They need to be able to keep that power. And they don't need you outnumbering them, eventually making it so easy for them to be overtaken someday because of that number being increasing on your end and decreasing on their end. It's just math. And so they need you to kill yourself. They need you to stop having babies. They need you to attack one another and leave them alone while they sit somewhere and try to catch up. While they sit in a corner somewhere and try to make as much other people duplicate as possible. That's all it's about. That's what it's been. And they gonna want you to fight in their damn wars. You're talking about this draft that could potentially be coming up. I don't need to know that they're gonna screw people of color in regards to that military draft. I know them. I don't need to know what they're about to do. I know what they're prone to do. They're going to be sending more blacks, more Mexicans, more people of color to fight in whatever wars they got going on than they're going to send fair-skinned people, and certainly Jews. There ain't going to be too many Jews fighting them for wars at all. Not unless they represent Israel specifically. Nothing to fight and defend America. I can guarantee you that. They're going to send plenty of whites, yes. But they're going to send plenty of blacks. They're going to send plenty of Mexicans on this draft. That's one of the reasons why I think these wars are being strengthened up. You start trying to figure out why these forever wars taking place. Well, this is one way they can genocide an entire race and send your ass over there to fight them wars. Having you picking fights against people they know they ain't gonna beat. They know they ain't gonna beat Iran. They know that. That's a grinder for human flesh. That's what that is, being honest. If I'm gonna pick a war with somebody I can't fight, I can't win against, and I'm gonna send a bunch of people over there, I deliberately want them to die. It's not about whether or not I'm trying to win a war against a beast I can't beat. I'm sending you into a meat grinder. That's what Israel's actually doing by way of their puppet, Donald Trump. They're sending American people into a meat grinder. And who do you send into a meat grinder? The people you don't want to be around anymore. You ain't gonna send none of those people over there in those colonies in New Jersey or Maine or nothing like that. Hell no, they ain't drafting none of them people. They need them to survive. It's gonna be you that they send over there. It's gonna be your kid they send over there. The ones they need to go so that they can have more of their numbers. And I tell people of color who are machine cogs in their machine to understand what their goal is. You may be able to get your piece of the pie, but long term, if you have any goals for your own personal circumstance, including that of your family and what your lineage is, do understand that they need you to decrease. So whatever plans you have in taking their money now and you think you're going to fund it back into your communities, they're going to destroy what it is that you're building by way of taking their money to do it. I don't need to know what they're doing. I know what they're prone to do. Bdf 44, thank y'all for watching.